The Joe Rogan Experience.
What is the state of Japanese MMA now? It was gigantic for a while when Sakuraba was big, when you were huge, when Pride was filling 90,000 seat arenas.
Huge.
It was like nothing else.
Yeah.
It's like I experienced 60,000 at Rogers in Canada when George St. Pierre fought Jake Shields. I couldn't imagine 30 more thousand people there. But you were there for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was awesome. I mean, if that was a 10 and before MMA actually came out when they only had Pancrase and that was a 1, it's at like a 4 right now.
What happened?
It's Yakuza involvement. I mean, the thing that people don't realize is in Japan, everything is Yakuza involvement. Every big company, every big promotion. Shuto tries to say that they never get Yakuza involvement, but they're backed by Sumiyoshi, which is the second largest group in Japan. You know, so everyone has Yakuza connections. Any big Coca-Cola company, Johnson & Johnson, any company has Yakuza connections.
Wow.
But it's not public.
So, say if Coca-Cola goes over there and they open up a plant in Japan, they must go through the Yakuza?
They'll have back connections, yes, definitely.
How do they negotiate that?
Well, it's really easy. It's a turf thing. If you know somebody, it's a percentage you pay. It's a pretty given thing. It's almost like taxes.
Wow.
Yeah, paying taxes.
It's just accepted.
Yeah, it's
across the board.
accepted. It's accepted. That's why it's funny how when it became public, it got really bad because it's a weird thing. It's accepted, but it's frowned upon. It's something that they know they need to be a part of in society, but they don't want to make it public because the Yakuza does have a bad name.
That was the only place where I've ever been where they asked me to cover up my tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's why I try to keep them out from my sleeve, so it comes up from there. But after that, I stop because I don't want to walk around and be kicked out of places. I just got denied to go in a hotel like last week when I was in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, because of my tattoos.
With the neck? Is that what it is?
Yeah, they saw the neck.
Yeah, they saw the neck.
So if I wear a hoodie, it covers it up. So it helps. But
yeah, I got kicked out of a gym. They made me go put a long sleeve shirt on.
Yeah, the gyms, even big gyms like Gold's Gym won't let you in.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What does it represent to Japanese?
It represents the underworld, gangsters, and you got to figure when you have a gang, there's 2 or 3 top men. Those men are awesome people, and then you got the rest of the hundreds and thousands that are punks, and that's the ones that you see. So basically, a gangster, someone with tattoos, which equals Yakuza, would mean trouble. And they would, if you go into a sports gym and you're working out next to a guy and you're working on, say you take his weights by accident because he's in the middle of a set. And if you're doing it to someone that's a normal person, he'll just say, hey, I was using those weights. Oh, sorry, okay. But it might be different for the Yakuza. And people would rather not work out in that area if there's a Yakuza guy working out there. So it's a bad rap. I mean, it's just justifiable, though. I can understand that.
The UFC, when they went in and bought Pride, it's kind of a crazy story, but they paid $65 million. They bought Pride, and they thought, hey, we're going to run Pride as well as the UFC. Like the same way they did with Strikeforce when they bought Strikeforce. They kept Strikeforce going for years. They thought they were going to do that.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, it turned out all of their contracts were illegal. They really didn't have anybody under contract. They spent $65 million, and all they really got was a video library. And then while they had offices in Japan and they were hiring these people and paying for them, they were starting up Dream. They were starting up their own organization.
Oh, really?
They were organizing everything. And, and then, the UFC, it took years before they could come back and do a UFC there. It took a long time.
Yeah, I heard Dana was getting some underworld threats and
Was he?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I sent Dana an email on that because if anything, I have a lot of pull in that side. And I told him that if you have any problems with that, I can help you.
What would he have to do? Come to you, and then you go to them?
I get really respected in that world. So if I don't know the person directly, I have guys that know him. So if he had any type of problem, it still stands still today. If Dana has any type of underworld problems there, if he calls me, I take care of it for him.
It's interesting that there's such an underworld presence in Japan because it seems so safe when you're there. Everything is people are so polite, and you don't see violence. You don't see, you see drunk people walking to the street, and no one hurts them. Everyone's fine. I mean,
the girls walk down dark lanes, and it's okay.
It's a strange sort of, contrast.
It's almost like you just have bad areas, like in Shinjuku. They have over 300 Yakuza offices there. Roppongi only has 3.
Wow.
Yeah, so you got there are districts that they're accumulated in.
They have offices?
They have offices, yeah.
The mafia doesn't have offices.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, like for me, I guess I grew up in America, so for me, the mafia just scares me way more. I mean, I have this image that you screw with the mafia, you better change your name, you better move, and you better hide who your family is, and you better get the hell out of, just disappear. But when you get in trouble with the Yakuza, I've been in trouble with them before, and it's like you can kind of pretty much deal with them the way you want to deal with them. You know, it depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice. Yeah. And
What
for me,
was your issue with them?
there was one with Kid. When this Yakuza guy wanted to open up a gym, and I agreed to open up a gym with him called Purebred Tokyo, Killer Bee, and I just told him that the only thing you have to do is you have to hire 2 of my fighters, so they can make a living through fighting, and I wanted to help them out. I want no money. You can use my name of my gym, but you have to hire my 2 fighters. They hired Kid and they hired Ryan Bull. And that was the 2 fighters, and everything was good. And what happened was, Kid started, I guess from the influence of his father, he started being, the loyalty issue on him was wavering, where he wasn't telling me stuff, he was hiding stuff, he was lying to me. And then I put that Yakuza guy in charge of him that ran the gym. So I called him and said, what's going on, man? You got to take care of it. He goes, I'll take care of it. He's told me that, and it got to a point he didn't take care of it. So I called him, and I was pissed already by now. And I called him and said, you know what, call me. He avoided my calls for 3 days, so three weeks. And I'm sitting there, this guy's running from me. I'm thinking, this is ridiculous. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy's running from me. I'm not going to look for him. He's going to pop up. These guys that try to run, they pop up all the time, you know. So I'm sitting there watching the Uno Kid fight. And Kid wins the fight, and this guy's in the ring jumping and hugging him. And thinking to myself, motherfucker, this guy's hiding from me. He's on national TV, hugging me, saying, hey, Enson, I'm here. So I guess this is it. So I called my students. I said to find out where the after party is. Went out to the after party. And I was literally going to walk in there, grab that guy by the hair, and pull him out of the party. But my students felt it was going to be a problem. It was going to make too much commotion. The cops are going to be called. So they decided to get him in. They brought him up and brought him to the park and pretty much beat him for like 20 minutes, which is something you shouldn't do in Japan, because in the Yakuza world, they work by face. They work by being tough, being scary, to collect money and stuff. And if they got a black eye and bruises on their face, it kind of goes against the fact that they're tough people, you know. So I beat them up pretty bad, and I did. But see, the thing is, I never did pick on anyone. I never did do anything without a reason. And I believe that I would die for my beliefs tomorrow, and I believe that I was right. And this guy really deserved that shit. So if they didn't like it, if the top guys didn't like it, then they know where to find me. And so what happened was, it was going on for 20 minutes. And when I went down, I let some of my friends know, and they were all worried. So they made calls. And we had 2 other Yakuza guys come down to the scene to try and stop me, to kind of get in between, not stop me physically, but to ask for forgiveness for this guy. And they're kind of like bowing in the middle of me and the guy, and I'm getting around and just giving him whacks at a time. And if he were to fall from a hit, I'd grab him and stand him right back up.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so it's kind of getting brutal. He was all bloody. And then these guys were kind of my friends too, so they weren't going to get involved, but they're trying to stop me from going too far. Mm-hmm. And there's this old lady. You know how you have the old ladies in the neighborhood that don't give a fuck who you are? This lady comes on and starts screaming at us. You're making too much noise and shit. And one of the Yakuza gets on the lady, and I say, no, hey, man, don't do that, man. Let's go. So we moved over to the next part. And as we're moving over to the next part, like 3 freaking monkeys, this guy's higher-ups find out what's happening and come out. And they're walking up like these, you know, like the movies. Like they're walking through. It was funny because I call them monkeys because they're walking through bushes. I saw them walking through the trees. And they came out. I was like, oh, shit, these are the guys. These are like the hot-head guys. And they came up to me, and they're screaming in Japanese to me, we're going to hurt you now because you hurt our brother. And then some of my guys came and held him back. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. If it's going to happen, it's got to happen now. So I told my guys, let him go. I said, let him go. I said, I just want to say one thing to you guys. And they came up, and they got this stance, and they're all mad at me and looking at me. And I'm looking at it, I said, I got one thing to do. I got one thing to say. If I say that you don't like it, we can have it out. I said, I'm ready to die tonight. And then this guy goes, okay. And so I tell him, okay, if someone fucked you over, I said, you wanted to punish him. Wouldn't that be fair? He goes, yes. But look what you did to him. Look at him. Look at he's all bloody. He's standing there all bloody. You know. And I said, well, you know what? Let's put it this way. I'll ask you one question. if I wanted to kill him with my hands, how fast do you think I could do it? He said, probably 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes, I said, hell, within 2 minutes I killed that fucker. And he goes, yeah, but what does that mean? And I said, well, I've been hitting him for 20 minutes. I said, dude, this is like 10% of what I could do. And I said, don't you agree if you had somebody fuck you over and you decide to just do 10% out of respect to the people behind him, wouldn't you think that's fair? And that guy just changed straight up, boom, stopped, and he said, you're right, man. Thank you. And
wow, that doesn't fly in America. That's an interesting interesting code that they operate on.
And they don't go to they believe in the underworld side there's two sides of the fence. There's the legal side and the illegal side, the illegitimate side. And you are never, ever, if you're on the illegitimate side or you have a legitimate problem, you are never, ever allowed to go to the other side to get help. If you're going to stay, you're going to get other guys to help you on this side and retaliate, that's fine. But if you ever go to authorities, then you lose face and you can never work in that world again. So,
wow. So you have to deal with things on your own.
When it's a problem like that, yeah, you pretty much. If you're someone from the outside and you're like a regular businessman and these guys come and bother you, the best thing to do is to go to the authorities, because the police are just waiting to grab the Yakuzas. So it's like it's like kryptonite to the Yakuzas. If you go say you're going to the police, they'll back off. But if I live my life in that side pretty much, you know, I mean, a lot of my friends are part of those groups, and a lot of my beliefs run really deep with their beliefs. You know, see, the thing is you when you hear about the Yakuza, they get a bad rap because you talk about child pornography, drugs, you know, extortion, what is that, when they steal money from people, you know, but the thing that they don't see, that's all the things in the media. But the things that they don't see, which I feel is really unfortunate, is the honor and the loyalty they have for each other. And that's where me and them click really well. You know, I mean, they will die for anyone in their group tomorrow. They'll go to jail for 10 years for their boss tomorrow if they have to. I mean, you don't see that type of loyalty around nowadays, you know.
Not in America.
And I love, you know, that I dig that loyalty, you know, and I think that's why they respect me so much. Is I will die for my values. I'll die for my people that are close to me.
It's just such a unbelievably fascinating culture. How different Japan is in so many ways.
It's like there's big gaps in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really, really, really fascinating stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that all these different cultures evolve independently. The
Mm-hmm.
Japanese culture evolved independently from the American culture,
Mm-hmm.
independently from the European culture, and it's so different.
Yeah, it is. I think all the places are different, man. It's hard to really move into a different country and run yourself in the way that you learned in another country, because it's, you know, they say when in Rome.
What do you think about the state of Japanese MMA right now? Because it's kind of in a transitionary period. I mean, at one point in time it was gigantic, and you say Yakuza involvement is why corporate sponsors backed out, and they lost a lot of viewership. But man, it was just not that long ago that they were selling out these gigantic places.
Yeah.
What's going on right now?
Well, right now, like I said, it's at the number 4 right now. There's people that are real hesitant. There's not many sponsors that want to put money into it. On the flip side, the big thing that's happening is gangster events, where they allow gangsters to fight in the ring. And yeah, it's crazy, dude. It's like, I attend all those. I'm like a guest in most of them. They pay me to be there and to judge sometimes, to make a speech in the ring, maybe in the beginning, because I'm so respected in that world that to have me there, a lot of these gangsters tone down. You know, when they want to riot, they don't riot, you know. I mean, you go to the event and it's not unusual to see a picture of 2 stick figures fighting and have a big X on it. So
Don't fight.
It's like, isn't that given? You never see any signs up in the UFC saying, please don't fight in the audience. It's like, it's already given. It's not something you should do.
Right.
But yeah, so that's a big thing right now. But it's good because the gangster events actually, they have headbutts, they have elbow striking, you can foot stomp, you can knee to groin, you can do whatever pretty much.
No holds barred.
They have 2-on-1, they have 2-on-2.
Really?
It's crazy, dude.
How often do they have these fights?
They have them about once a month, man. There's
Holy
one summer.
shit.
Yeah, and it's like these guys, it's a good trend because it's become where these guys just came off the streets thinking they're tough, gassing out in 1 minute, from these guys actually spending time in the gym now and being off the street. So it's actually a good movement. There's about 3 or 4 gangsters already now that's actually made their pro debut in Deep. So
Wow.
these guys are actually going to run gangs and start selling drugs and doing illegal activity. They're now training and having a future in fighting, which is awesome. As far as the legitimate side of MMA, I see it. I can see it picking up again, and it's all due to the UFC.
So the UFC's done a couple
huge.
of events there now.
Yeah, the last one they did when I went to that, it's huge, man. That's so big. I mean, as much as the Japanese fans are kind of losing hope in Japanese MMA because a lot of productions were folding, when I went to the UFC, I felt that energy again. When I was fighting in Pride, that energy that they had in the audience, and especially when Rampage came out with the Pride music.
Yeah.
It gave me goosebumps because when he came out to that, I looked around the arena, and I was like, "Damn, this is just like a Pride. This is a Pride." And it's the first time since that big incident with the Yakuza involvement in Pride that I've actually seen that again. It was surreal to me actually, and I was like, "Damn, this is gonna be the ticket back is the UFC coming to Japan."
If the UFC did an Ultimate Fighter in Japan and a Japanese version of it, would you be interested in coaching?
Oh yeah, oh definitely, yeah. I would love to.
That would be perfect.
Yeah.
You would really be perfect for something like that.
Yeah, I would love that.